They said 10% was already dangerous. 10% of the world running on nuclear power was enough to spark endless debates, fuel protests, and ignite nightmares of radioactive fallout. Yet here we stand, daring to imagine the unthinkable. What if the number wasn't 10? What if it was 100? What if the entire planet, every flickering light bulb, every data server, every city, every factory, every heartbeat of modern civilization was tied to the invisible fire of nuclear energy? The very same force that built cities from rubble and leveled them to dust. The same dual-edged blade that whispers promises of limitless power while hiding shadows of extinction. Think about this. When nuclear reactors first emerged, humanity thought it had found the golden ticket. A source of electricity that produced no choking smog, no endless coal trains, no oil pipelines dripping into oceans. Clean, efficient, and almost limitless. Yet in the background, quiet whispers turned into screams. Chernobyl, Fukushima, 3 Mile Island. Towns abandoned overnight, families displaced forever, invisible radiation crawling into the soil, the water, the DNA of generations to come. That was the fear of just a fraction of our dependence. Now magnify it. Not 10%, not 20, 100. The entire planet wired to a ticking heartbeat of uranium and plutonium. The very air buzzing with the hum of reactors. The power would be godlike. Lights would never flicker. Factories would never pause. Cities would glow brighter than stars. The internet, streaming, data centers, electric cars, all powered by the atom. But what would that mean for the fragility of our survival? One disaster wouldn't just cripple a region, it could cripple the world. Imagine a global grid, intertwined reactors feeding one another like veins in a colossal body. A single meltdown might ripple like falling dominoes, triggering collapse after collapse. And in a world where every country holds its reactors close, what happens when politics enters the equation? What happens when war, sabotage, or a single desperate act targets this fragile web? Nuclear power isn't just energy, it's a chain reaction that doesn't care about borders. Radiation drifts where the wind takes it. Fallout doesn't stop at checkpoints. And if every corner of Earth runs on it, then a single crack in the system means every one of us is on borrowed time. The silence after a reactor explodes is not the silence of calm, it's the silence of abandonment. Cities turned into ghost towns, playgrounds left to rust, animals wandering streets that once echoed with laughter. Multiply that by 100. That's not just fear, it's erasure. But here's the twist. Humans are tempted by what terrifies us most. Nuclear power seduces with numbers. One tiny pellet of uranium holds more energy than tons of coal. A handful of fuel could light up entire cities. The math is undeniable. Fossil fuels drown us in carbon, climate change threatens to swallow coastlines, and renewable energy still struggles with storage and consistency. Nuclear power whispers, "I am the solution, I can save you." Yet, at what cost? Because the same technology that gives us light can also forge weapons. If we go all in, 100%, then every power plant is also a potential target. Every reactor a temptation for those who see destruction as victory. The line between civilian energy and military nightmare blurs until it vanishes. History doesn't lie. It was nuclear ambition that gave us Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Cities erased in seconds, shadows of people burnt into walls. That was just 2 bombs. What would happen in a world where nuclear fuel flows like water, where enrichment and waste are piled up in mountains? You don't just risk accidents, you risk escalation. One wrong decision, one angry nation, one leader pressing a button, and the energy that powers the world becomes the fire that consumes it. And yet the paradox deepens. Nuclear energy, if managed perfectly, could be the clean slate humanity needs. No smog, no carbon, no coal dust choking miners, no oil spills staining oceans. It could cool the planet, sustain billions, push us into a golden age of clean energy. Imagine the deserts blooming under artificial rivers, powered by reactors, cities lit with endless energy, space exploration fueled by nuclear engines propelling us to Mars and beyond. But that's the trap, because perfection doesn't exist. Humans aren't flawless. Machines fail. Nature rebels. Earthquakes don't care about reactor blueprints. Tsunamis don't respect safety walls. Terrorists don't read safety manuals. At 10%, we manage the risk. At 20%, maybe we stretch it, but at 100%, we surrender everything to a system where a single crack means collapse. A world where safety isn't optional, but survival. Do we trust ourselves enough? Do we trust our leaders, our governments, our enemies, our neighbors? Because the atom is not forgiving. Once released, it does not go back in the box. Radiation lingers for centuries, long after names, flags, and borders have changed. If 100% of our lives depend on it, then 100% of our future dangles over the edge of a blade. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. Sometimes the most powerful solutions are also the most dangerous traps. Humanity has a habit of chasing shortcuts. We dig too deep, burn too fast, build too high, believing we've mastered forces older than time. But nuclear power isn't a tool. It's a test of patience, restraint, wisdom. And history shows we fail those tests more often than we pass them. So the question isn't whether 100% nuclear power could light up the Earth. It could. The question is whether humanity could survive long enough to enjoy it. Now ask yourself, if 10% was enough to make us tremble, what happens when we crank it up to 100? Do we build a utopia of endless energy, or do we write the final chapter of our own story? The answer may not come from reactors or fuel rods. It may come from us. Because when the power of creation and destruction hums at our fingertips, the only thing standing between survival and erasure is the choice we make. And once the switch is flipped, there may be no turning back.